I stared at my phone screen, my fork frozen halfway to my mouth. The text from my mother glowed accusingly in the dim restaurant lighting, each word sending a fresh wave of confusion through me. Rapido, pretend you're sick and leave. My mother wrote while we were having dinner together. It turns out, the message cut off there, incomplete, hanging in digital suspension like a cliffhanger in some absurd drama. My eyes darted up from the phone to my mother's face across the table. She was smiling serenely, dabbing the corner of her mouth with her napkin, completely oblivious to the fact that she'd just sent me the strangest text message of my entire life. Or was she oblivious? I looked back down at the screen, rereading the words to make sure I hadn't hallucinated them. Nope. Still there. Still utterly bizarre. "Everything okay, sweetheart?" Mom asked, her voice warm and concerned in that way only mothers can manage. The kind of voice that makes you feel like you're 8, years old again with a scraped knee. "Yeah, I'm fine," I managed, though my voice came out strangled. My mind was racing through possibilities like a pinball machine on overdrive. Had she meant to send this to someone else? Was this some kind of weird joke? Had my mother's phone been hacked by someone with a twisted sense of humor? We were sitting in Marcello's, this cozy Italian place that had been her favorite for years. The walls were covered in warm ochre paint, fake ivy trailing from the ceiling beams, and old photographs of the Amalfi Coast that the owner had probably bought at a flea market. Dean Martin crooned softly from hidden speakers. Everything was exactly as it should be for our monthly mother-daughter dinner, except for the cryptic message now burning a hole in my phone. My mother, Patricia Ann Morrison, was many things: a retired librarian, an avid gardener, a woman who sent birthday cards exactly 2 weeks, early to ensure they arrived on time, someone who still used a physical address book and wrote in perfect cursive. She was not the kind of person who sent mysterious, urgent text messages that referenced herself in the third person. "How's the chicken piccata?" she asked, taking a delicate sip of her Chianti. "It's good," I said automatically, though I'd barely tasted it. I set my phone face down on the table, trying to act normal, but my heart was hammering. The incomplete sentence kept echoing in my head. "It turns out." What? What turns out? And why did I need to pretend to be sick and leave? I studied her face more carefully. She looked completely normal. Her short silver hair was styled in its usual neat bob. She wore her favorite turquoise cardigan over a white blouse, the pearl earrings Dad had given her for their 30th anniversary. Her reading glasses hung from a beaded chain around her neck. There was no hint of distress, no secret signals, nothing to indicate that she'd just sent an SOS. "Mom," I started carefully, "did you just text me?" She looked up, surprised. "Text you? No, dear. Why would I text you when you're sitting right across from me?" She laughed, a light tinkling sound. "You know I can barely manage these modern phones as it is." This was true. My mother had only gotten a smartphone 2 years ago, and only because the flip phone she'd been clinging to had finally died. She used approximately 3 features: calls, texts, and the camera function, which she'd accidentally discovered while trying to hang up on a telemarketer. "Are you sure?" I pressed. "Can I see your phone?" She raised an eyebrow but reached into her purse, pulling out her phone in its sensible protective case, covered in a pattern of small daisies. She handed it over without hesitation. I opened her messages, my hands slightly unsteady. There it was, the last message in our thread, sent from her number to mine just 2 minutes ago. "Rapido, pretend you're sick and leave." My mother wrote while we were having dinner together. "It turns out." "Did you see this?" I turned the screen toward her. She leaned forward, squinting at the text. Her face went through a series of expressions: confusion, disbelief, then something I couldn't quite read. "Was that fear?" "I didn't write that," she said quietly. "But it came from your phone." "I didn't write that," she repeated more firmly this time. She took the phone back, scrolling through the message thread, as if looking for an explanation in the pixels themselves. "I haven't touched my phone since we sat down. It's been in my purse." A chill ran down my spine despite the warmth of the restaurant. "Then who—" "Excuse me, ladies." The waiter appeared at our table, refilling our water glasses with practiced efficiency. "Can I get you anything else? Dessert menu?" "Just the check, please," my mother said, her voice steady, but her hand trembling slightly as she handed back the phone to me. After he left, we sat in loaded silence. The Dean Martin song ended, replaced by something instrumental and forgettable. At the next table, a couple laughed over shared tiramisu. Everything was normal, except nothing was normal. "Mom, what's going on?" I whispered, leaning forward. She folded her hands on the table, a gesture I recognized from childhood, the one she used when she was about to tell me something serious. "I need you to trust me, Emma. Can you do that?" "Of course, but—" "Then do what the text says. Pretend you're not feeling well. We need to leave." My mouth went dry. "You just said you didn't send it." "I didn't." Her eyes met mine, And I saw something there I'd never seen before in my mother's face. Genuine fear. But whoever did is right. We need to go. Now. The way she said it, with such quiet urgency, made my skin prickle with goosebumps. This wasn't a joke. Something was genuinely wrong. I don't understand. Emma. She reached across the table and gripped my hand. Her fingers were ice cold. Please, trust me. You're not feeling well. You need to go home. I stared at her, my mind reeling. Every instinct screamed that this was crazy, that I should demand answers, that we should call someone. The police? My brother? A psychiatrist? But the fear in her eyes was real. Whatever was happening, she believed we were in danger. Okay, I heard myself say. Okay, I feel dizzy, nauseous. Relief flooded her face. Let's get you home, sweetheart. She signaled for the waiter, who hurried over looking concerned. I'm so sorry, but my daughter isn't feeling well. We need to settle up quickly. Of course, of course. He rushed off to get the check. While we waited, I glanced around the restaurant, trying to see what had spooked her so badly. It was a Wednesday night, not particularly crowded. There was the couple with the tiramisu, an older man reading a newspaper in the corner booth, a group of what looked like co-workers celebrating something near the kitchen, and a woman sitting alone at the bar, her back to us. Nothing out of the ordinary, nothing threatening. The check came. My mother threw down cash, unusual for her, as she always put everything on her credit card for the points. And we stood up. She grabbed her purse, and I grabbed mine, and she kept one hand on my elbow as we walked toward the door. Feel better? The hostess called as we passed. The cool October air hit my face as we stepped outside. The parking lot was dimly lit. Our cars parked side by side near the back. Mom had driven her sensible Camry, and I had my beat-up Honda Civic that I'd been nursing along since college. Should I follow you home? I asked, digging for my keys. Mom, you really need to tell me what's— Not here, she hissed, glancing around the parking lot. Get in your car. Drive to your apartment. Lock the doors. Don't let anyone in tonight. We'll talk tomorrow. That's insane. You can't just— Emma! She grabbed both my shoulders, her face inches from mine. In the sodium glow of the parking lot lights, she looked older than I'd ever seen her, lines of worry etched deep around her eyes. I know this seems crazy. I know you have questions. But right now, I need you to do exactly what I'm telling you. Go home. Lock the doors. Don't answer for anyone except me. Tomorrow morning, I'll explain everything. I promise. Are you in danger? Should we call the police? The police can't help with this. She pulled me into a tight hug, and I felt her trembling against me. I love you so much, sweetheart. More than you know. Please, please, just do what I'm asking. She released me and hurried to her car without looking back. I stood there, frozen in confusion and fear, watching as she got in, started the engine, and pulled out of the parking lot faster than I'd ever seen her drive. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Another text, this time from an unknown number. She's right. Go home now. You're being watched. I spun around, heart hammering, scanning the parking lot. The man from the corner booth was walking to his car, not looking at me. A teenager on a bicycle pedaled past on the sidewalk. A cat darted between parked cars. Nothing suspicious, yet everything felt threatening. I ran to my car, fumbling with the keys, dropping them once before managing to unlock the door. I threw myself into the driver's seat and hit the locks, then sat there breathing hard, trying to make sense of what had just happened. My hands shook as I started the engine. The radio came on, blaring some pop song that seemed absurdly cheerful given the circumstances. I turned it off, needing silence to think. The logical part of my brain insisted this was all some misunderstanding. Maybe a weird prank, possibly a symptom of early-onset dementia in my mother. But the primal part of my brain, the ancient lizard brain that had kept humans alive for millennia by respecting fear, was screaming at me to run. I drove home on autopilot, checking my rearview mirror obsessively, jumping at every car that happened to turn when I turned, every pair of headlights that seemed to follow me for more than 2 blocks. By the time I pulled into my apartment complex, I was convinced. I was either having a mental breakdown or was the protagonist in some paranoid thriller I didn't remember auditioning for. My apartment was on the 3rd floor of a building that had been new about 40 years ago. I parked in my assigned spot, grabbed my purse, and speed-walked to the entrance. Glancing over my shoulder every few seconds, the security door buzzed open. The lock had been broken for weeks, and the landlord kept promising to fix it, and I took the stairs 2 at a time rather than wait for the elevator. Inside my apartment, I locked the door, then checked it twice, then added the chain lock for good measure. I went through every room, all 500 square feet of them, checking closets and behind the shower curtain like I was in some horror movie. Empty. Of course it was empty. I collapsed on my second-hand couch, my phone clutched in my hand. The text from the unknown number stared back at me. She's right. Go home now. You're being watched. Who? Who was watching me? And why? And how did they have my number? And what did any of this have to do with my mother? Patricia Ann Morrison led the most boring life imaginable. She'd been a librarian for 35 years. She volunteered at the Botanical Gardens. She belonged to a book club that met monthly to discuss literary fiction over reasonably priced wine. Her greatest act of rebellion was occasionally going 5 miles over the speed limit. The idea that she was involved in anything that required mysterious warnings and urgent escapes was absurd. Unless I didn't know my mother as well as I thought, the realization settled over me like a cold blanket. I was 32 years old. I'd lived with my parents until college, come home for holidays and summers, then moved to this city 5 years ago to be closer to them. I saw my mother at least twice a month. We talked on the phone every week. I knew her favorite books, her coffee order, her opinion on the state of modern education. But did I really know her? I thought about my father, who died when I was 24. Heart attack, sudden and devastating. He'd been a high school math teacher, beloved by students, devoted to his family. We'd mourned him together, my mother and my older brother, Jeff, and me. It had been the hardest year of my life. What if there was more to that story, too? I opened my phone and pulled up Jeff's contact. My thumb hovered over the call button. But what would I say? Hey, Jeff, Mom sent me a weird text that she says she didn't send. And then she told me we had to leave the restaurant immediately. And now someone's telling me I'm being watched? He'd think I'd lost my mind. Hell, I was starting to think I'd lost my mind. Instead, I opened my photos and scrolled back through years of family pictures. Birthday parties, holidays. That trip to the Grand Canyon when I was 16. Mom and Dad's anniversary dinner. Jeff's wedding. My college graduation. Normal. Everything looked so completely, utterly normal. I zoomed in on my mother's face in photo after photo, looking for, what? Some hint of secret knowledge? Hidden depths? A mysterious past? She just looked like Mom. Smiling, proud, slightly awkward in front of cameras, often with her eyes closed, because she always blinked right when the flash went off. My phone buzzed again, and I nearly dropped it. Another text from the unknown number. Check your email. Subject line, the truth about Patricia. Don't call anyone. Don't tell anyone. Read it alone. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. With trembling fingers, I opened my email app. There it was, sitting at the top of my inbox. The truth about Patricia. The sender was fmorrison@securemail.net. F. Morrison. My father's name had been Frank Morrison, but that was impossible. He'd been dead for 8 years. I sat there staring at the email for a full minute, too afraid to open it, too curious not to. Finally, I tapped it. The email was long, single-spaced, no formatting. It began, Dear Emma, if you're reading this, then something has gone wrong, and the protocols we put in place have been activated. I wish I could tell you this in person, but if you're reading this, that's not possible. So I'll start with the most important thing. Your mother and I have always loved you. Everything we've done has been to protect you and your brother. Please remember that as you read what follows. Your mother's name is not Patricia Ann Morrison. She was born Petra Antonova in Sofia, Bulgaria. In 1962, she was recruited by Bulgarian intelligence when she was 19 years old. By the time she was 25, she was one of their most effective field operatives, working primarily in Western Europe on economic espionage cases. In 1989, as the Soviet bloc was collapsing, she was on assignment in London. She'd become disillusioned with the work, with the ideology, with the life. She approached MI6 and offered to defect. She gave them information about networks across Eastern Europe in exchange for a new identity and a new life. I was her handler for MI6. My real name is Francis Ashford Morrison. I was British intelligence, working the Eastern European desk. She was my asset, my informant, and then, inevitably, something more. We fell in love. When it became clear that her former colleagues were actively hunting her, I made a choice. I helped her disappear completely, and I disappeared with her. We came to America with new identities provided by people I trusted in the intelligence community. We became Frank and Patricia Morrison. We had children. We built a life. For 25 years, it worked. I thought we were safe. I thought the past had stayed buried. I was wrong. 3 months ago, I was contacted by someone claiming to represent Petra's former intelligence service. They had somehow identified us. They wanted her to come back, to work for them again, to use her old contacts and skills for one more operation. If she refused, they would expose us both, destroy the life we'd built, potentially endanger our children. I told them no, of course. We'd left that life behind, but they were persistent. And then I started having the symptoms: dizziness, fatigue, chest pains. I thought it was stress. Your mother begged me to see a doctor. By the time I did, it was too late. Emma, I didn't die of a heart attack. I was poisoned, slowly, over several weeks, with something that mimicked cardiac disease. By the time the doctors figured out what was wrong, the damage was too extensive. I had maybe a day left. I used that day to set up a dead man's switch. If anything happened to your mother, if anyone came after her again, this email would be sent to you and your brother. Along with it would go all the evidence I'd gathered, all the documentation of who your mother really is and what was done to us. I'm so sorry you're learning this now. I'm so sorry I can't be there to explain it in person, to answer your questions, to protect you the way a father should. But if you're reading this, it means your mother is in immediate danger. It means they've found her again. It means you might be in danger too, simply by association. Trust your mother. She's stronger and smarter than anyone gives her credit for. She's survived more than you can imagine. But be careful. The people who are after her are professionals. They've already killed me. They won't hesitate to hurt anyone they need to hurt to get what they want. There's a safety deposit box at First National Bank on Gardner Street. Box 487. The key is taped behind. The family photo on your mother's mantelpiece. The one from your graduation. Inside the box is money, documents, and contact information for people who can help if things get worse. Love you, Emma. I'm so proud of the woman you've become. I only wish I could have told you the truth while I had the chance. Your mother wanted to, so many times. But we thought we were protecting you by keeping you in the dark. Maybe we were. Maybe we were just being cowards. Take care of your mother. Take care of your brother. And take care of yourself. Dad, I read it through twice, then a third time, my hands shaking so badly I could barely hold the phone. It was insane. It had to be a hoax, an elaborate prank, a phishing scam, something. People didn't just turn out to be former spies. Retired librarians didn't have secret identities. Fathers didn't get murdered by foreign intelligence services in suburban America. Except the text that had warned me at the restaurant, the fear in my mother's eyes, her insistence that we leave immediately, her refusal to involve the police, the way she'd said, "The police can't help with this." I looked at the sender's email address again. fmorrison@securemail.net. Secure Mail was an encrypted email service. I knew that much. Journalists and activists used it, and apparently former spies setting up dead man's switches. My phone buzzed. This time it was my mother calling. I answered before the first ring finished. "Are you home? Are you safe?" Her voice was tight with tension. "I'm home. Mom? What the hell is going on? I know, the email. The dead man's switch activated. I got one too, and I got an alert that it had been sent." She let out a long, shaky breath. "I'd hoped it would never come to this. Is it true? All of it? Are you really?" "Not over the phone. Never over the phone. I'm coming to you. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Don't open the door for anyone but me. I'll knock 3 times, pause, then twice more. Don't open it for any other pattern." "Mom, I'm scared." "I know, baby. I know. So am I." Her voice cracked. "But we're going to get through this. Your father and I survived worse. We'll survive this too. 20 minutes. She hung up. I sat there in the silence of my apartment, still clutching the phone, my entire understanding of reality crumbling around me. I thought about every mundane moment of my childhood. Mom packing school lunches, helping with homework, driving me to soccer practice. Had she been thinking about her past life then? Had she been watching for threats? Had every PTA meeting been a potential risk? I thought about my father, the gentleman who'd taught me algebra and bad jokes in equal measure, who'd cried at my graduation, who'd spent every Sunday morning making elaborate breakfasts for the family. He'd been a spy, a British intelligence officer. He'd given up everything for love, and he'd been murdered for it. I started crying then, big gasping sobs that hurt my chest. I'd cried for the father I'd thought I knew, for the childhood that apparently hadn't been what I thought it was, for the mother who'd been carrying this secret all alone for 8 years. But I couldn't fall apart. Not yet. Mom was coming, and she needed me to be strong. I wiped my eyes and stood up, pacing my small living room. The email had mentioned evidence, documentation. What kind of evidence did you keep? When you were a former spy living under a false identity? And more importantly, who had activated the dead man's switch? Who was coming after my mother now? I pulled up the email again and reread the part about the safety deposit box. The key was behind the family photo on her mantelpiece. I'd been to her house 1,000 times, seen that photo 1,000 times. My college graduation, all 4 of us, Mom, Dad, Jeff, and me in my cap and gown, all smiling. Normal. A normal American family at a normal American milestone. A family built on lies. No, that wasn't fair. The love had been real. The life had been real. Just because their names hadn't been what I thought, just because they had a past I didn't know about, didn't make our family any less real, right? I heard footsteps in the hallway outside my door. My whole body tensed. Then came the knock. 1, 2, 3. Pause. 1, 2. I looked through the peephole. It was my mother, but she looked different. Her hair was pulled back in a tight bun. She'd changed clothes, now wearing dark jeans and a black jacket I'd never seen before. She looked younger somehow, harder, more focused. She looked like someone who could be a spy. I opened the door, and she slipped inside quickly, immediately going to the window and checking the street below. "Did anyone follow you?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. No, I made sure. She turned to face me, and her professional mask cracked. Her eyes filled with tears. "Oh, Emma, I'm so sorry." "I'm so sorry." We stood there for a moment, just looking at each other. Then I crossed the room and hugged her, hard. She held me just as tightly, and I felt her shaking. "Tell me everything," I said when we finally pulled apart. "Start from the beginning. I want to know who you really are." She nodded, wiping her eyes, then sat down on my couch. She looked small suddenly, diminished. No longer the confident operative who'd checked the window, but just my mother, scared and tired, and carrying a burden she'd held alone for too long. "My name was Petra Antonova," she began, her voice steady but soft. "I was born in Sofia to a family of academics. My father taught philosophy at the university. My mother was a translator. When I was 17, a man approached me at a cafe and asked if I'd ever considered serving my country, and she told me everything. She told me about her recruitment, about the training, about the operations in Vienna and Prague and London. She told me about the things she'd done, some of which she was proud of, some of which still haunted her. She told me about the moment she'd decided to defect, about meeting my father, about their escape. Frank was supposed to debrief me and hand me off to other handlers, she said, a sad smile crossing her face. But he kept finding reasons to extend the meetings. And I kept finding reasons to need them. We both knew it was against protocol. We didn't care. She told me about their decision to disappear together, about the years of looking over their shoulders, about the relief when first Jeff and then I were born without incident. "We thought we'd made it," she said. "We thought we'd really gotten away. 25 years of peace. It felt like a lifetime. Until someone found you." "Until someone found us," she confirmed. "I still don't know how. We were careful, so careful. But intelligence services have long memories. And Eastern Europe has changed a lot since. 1989 people I thought were dead or retired turned up in new positions of power. Old files got digitized, patterns got analyzed. Somehow, someone put the pieces together. And they killed Dad. Her face hardened. They killed your father because he wouldn't let them have me. Because he stood between them and what they wanted. They made it look natural because they're professionals, and because they thought I'd be more vulnerable alone, more willing to cooperate. She looked at me, her eyes fierce. They were wrong. What do they want? The email said they wanted you to work for them again. There's someone I helped defect back in 1989. He had evidence of massive corruption at the highest levels of the Bulgarian government. We got him out, and he's been living under protection ever since. Recently, he's been making noise about coming forward publicly, exposing everything he knows. They want me to find him and neutralize the threat. Neutralize? You mean kill him? I mean persuade him to remain silent. By whatever means necessary. She stood up and started pacing. I told them no, of course. That was 8 years ago, right before your father died. I hoped that when he died, they'd leave me alone. That maybe they'd blame me for his death. Think I'd turned him in to save myself. Something. But I was wrong. They've been watching, waiting, and now something's changed. Something's made them urgent again. What? I don't know. But tonight, at the restaurant, I saw someone. A woman at the bar. I only caught a glimpse of her face in the mirror behind the bartender. But I recognized her. Marina Volkov. She's a cleaner. A cleaner? An assassin. Specifically, someone who makes other assassinations look like accidents or natural causes. If Marina Volkov is here, it means someone is about to die, and they want it to look like coincidence. She sat back down, suddenly looking exhausted. I had to get you out of there. I couldn't let her see us together. Couldn't let her connect you to me more than she already has. But she sent you that text. On your phone. How did she even have your number? She didn't. She would have used a repeater, a device that can send messages from nearby phones. She was demonstrating that she could reach me, that she knew where I was, that I was under surveillance. It was a warning. My head was spinning. So what do? Do we run? Go into hiding? What about Jeff? Does he know? Jeff got the same email you did. I called him right before I came here. He and Rachel are packing now. They're going to his college roommate's cabin upstate. You're going to join them. What? No, I'm not leaving you alone to deal with this. Emma! No. I stood up, surprising myself with my vehemence. Dad spent his life protecting you, and then they killed him for it. I'm not going to run away and potentially let the same thing happen to you. Whatever we do it together. She looked at me for a long moment, and I saw something shift in her expression. Pride, maybe. Or recognition. You're more like your father than I realized. Good. So what's the plan? She laughed, a short, sharp sound. You think I have a plan? Sweetheart, I've been retired for 30 years. I'm a 63-year-old librarian with a garden club and a bad knee. I don't have plans anymore. But you were one of the best. That's what Dad's email said. I was, past tense. A very long time ago. She rubbed her face tiredly. But I suppose some things you don't forget. Muscle memory? Instinct? She looked up at me. First thing, we need to get to that safety deposit box. Your father would have left us everything we need. Money, documents, contacts. If we're going to fight back, we need resources. Can't we just go to the police? Tell them what's happening. And tell them what? That a foreign intelligence service is after me because I'm a defected spy they tried to recruit by murdering my British intelligence officer husband. Even if they believed us, which they wouldn't, it would take weeks to sort out. By then, Marina Volkov will have completed whatever assignment she's been given. Besides, she hesitated. Besides what? The people who gave us our identities 30 years ago were Americans. CIA, probably, though Frank never confirmed it explicitly. If I go public now, they'll have to either disavow us completely or admit they helped foreign intelligence officers disappear on U.S. soil. Either way, we lose their protection. We'd be completely on our own. She was right. We were trapped between enemies and allies, who might not want to acknowledge we existed. Okay, I said, trying to sound braver than I felt. So we get the documents. What then? Then we figure out who we're really dealing with and what they really want. Because I don't think this is just about that. Defector from 1989. Something else is going on. Something bigger. We left my apartment together, taking the stairs down to the parking garage. My mother moved differently now, I noticed. She checked corners, used reflections to scan behind us, kept her body between me and potential threats. The librarian was gone. Petra Antonova had taken her place. We took my car. She said hers might be tracked. As I drove toward her house across town, she was constantly checking mirrors, watching traffic, looking for patterns in the vehicles around us. That blue sedan, she said suddenly. 4 cars back. It's been with us since we left your complex. My heart jumped. Are you sure? Reasonably. Take the next right. Don't signal. I did as she said, turning suddenly onto a residential street. Behind us, most of the traffic continued straight. But the blue sedan turned too. Again, she said calmly. Left at the next intersection. Another turn. The sedan followed. Okay, she said. Confirmed. We have a tail. What do we do? My hands were slick with sweat on the steering wheel. Stay calm. Drive normally. We'll lose them when we get closer to my neighborhood. I know. Every back street and alley. She pulled out her phone. I'm texting Jeff to change the rendezvous point. They might have someone watching his place, too. As she texted, I kept driving, trying to maintain a normal speed, trying not to look like I knew we were being followed. The blue sedan stayed 4 cars back, professional and patient. We drove through the quiet streets of suburbia, past houses with Halloween decorations already up, past parked minivans and basketball hoops in driveways. Normal American life, utterly oblivious to the Cold War spy drama playing out in their midst. Turn here, my mother directed suddenly, and I swung into an alley between 2 houses. Now gun it! I pressed the accelerator, my little Honda bouncing over the rough pavement. We shot out the other end of the alley, and my mother directed me through a maze of turns. Left, right, left, straight through a parking lot. Right again, until we finally emerged on a main street, several blocks from where we'd started. Lost them? I asked hopefully. She checked the mirrors one more time. For now. But they know we're aware of the surveillance. That changes things. How? They'll stop being careful. Move faster. If they were planning to take their time, watch and wait, that's over now. We probably have a few hours at most before they make their move. We made it to her house without seeing the sedan again. It was a modest 2-story in a neighborhood of similar modest 2-stories, with a neat front yard and the garden she spent every weekend tending. Dad's old car was still in the garage. She'd never had the heart to sell it. Inside, everything was exactly as I remembered. The floral couch Dad had hated but never complained about. The bookshelf covering an entire wall, alphabetized by author. The piano in the corner that no one had played since. I'd quit lessons in 8th grade. Home, except now I knew it had all been a set piece, a carefully constructed facade for a life that wasn't entirely real. The family photo from my graduation sat on the mantelpiece just where it always had. My mother took it down with steady hands and turned it over. Taped to the back was a small brass key. First National on Gardner Street, she said. 15-minute drive. We should go now, before they re-establish surveillance. But as she spoke, there was a sound from the front of the house. A car door closing, then another. We both froze. Upstairs, my mother whispered. Now, quietly. We crept up the stairs to the 2nd floor. She led me to her bedroom and closed the door softly behind us. The window, she whispered. It's a straight drop to the porch roof, then down to the driveway. Can you make it? What about you? I'll be right behind you. There was a crash from downstairs. They weren't bothering with subtlety anymore. I opened the window as quietly as I could. The drop to the porch roof looked terrifying, but the sound of footsteps on the stairs was more terrifying. Go, my mother urged. Now, Emma. I climbed out the window, my hands shaking so badly I almost lost my grip. I slid down to the porch roof, my shoes scrabbling for purchase on the shingles. Behind me, I heard the bedroom door burst open. Heard my mother shout something in a language I didn't recognize. I dropped from the porch roof to the driveway, landing hard and rolling. Pain shot through my ankle. I scrambled to my feet, ignoring the pain, and looked up. My mother was climbing out the window, but she wasn't alone. A hand grabbed her arm, trying to pull her back inside. She twisted, drove her elbow back hard, and I heard a grunt of pain. Then she was sliding down to the porch roof, moving with surprising agility for a woman her age. A figure appeared in the window. A man, young, dressed in black. He started to climb out after her. "Mom, come on!" I screamed. She dropped from the porch roof, landing in a crouch that spoke of years-old training suddenly remembered. We ran for my car, and I fumbled with the keys, my hands shaking so badly I could barely get them in the ignition. The man hit the ground behind us. Another figure was coming around from the front of the house. A2E Hanfiti, woman with short dark hair. Not Marina Volkov. Someone else. The engine started. I threw the car in reverse and floored it, tires squealing as we shot backward out of the driveway. The woman had to dive out of the way. I shifted to drive and accelerated hard, my heart hammering so loudly I could barely hear my mother shouting directions. "Left! Left here!" I took the corner too fast, the car fishtailing slightly. Behind us, I could see headlights. They were following in what looked like a black SUV. "They came prepared," my mother said grimly. "That's a chase vehicle. Your car can't outrun it. So what do we do?" She was silent for a moment, thinking. "Then, the bank. We have to get to the bank. It's public, cameras everywhere, security. They won't risk a scene there. It's almost 9 o'clock at night. Banks are closed. The vault access is 24/7 for box holders. We just need to get inside the building." I drove like I'd never driven before, running yellow lights, taking turns at speeds that made my tires scream. The SUV stayed with us, professional and relentless. Whoever was driving knew what they were doing. "They're hurting us," my mother said suddenly. "What?" "Look, every time we try to turn toward downtown, they speed up, cut us off. They're forcing us toward the industrial district, away from people, from witnesses." She was right. The streets were getting darker, more isolated. Fewer cars, fewer lights. "We need to get back to populated areas," she said. "Take the next right, fast." I cranked the wheel, and we shot down a side street. The SUV followed, closing the distance. It pulled up alongside us, and I saw the passenger window rolling down. "They're going to shoot," my mother yelled. "When I say duck, you duck, but keep your foot on the gas." "Are you insane?" "I can't." "Duck!" I ducked. Glass exploded above us, the passenger side window. My mother had rolled it down just in time. Instead of shooting, they'd tried to grab the door handle to force us to stop. She'd anticipated it. "Swerve left." I yanked the wheel left, slamming into the SUV. Metal crunched. The SUV swerved away, giving us a few seconds of space. "There!" My mother pointed. "That alley, take it!" "It's too narrow." "Take it." I turned hard, shooting into an alley, barely wide enough for my Honda. The SUV tried to follow but was too wide. I heard the screech of metal as they scraped both sides trying to force their way in. We shot out the other end of the alley, and suddenly we were on a main road again. Traffic, lights, people. "Gardner Street is 3 blocks ahead," my mother said. "Drive normal." We lost them for now. My whole body was shaking. That was insane. That was completely insane. "You did good, sweetheart. Really good." She reached over and squeezed my hand. "Your father would have been proud." First National Bank was a modern building, all glass and steel. We parked in the well-lit lot and hurried to the entrance. My mother swiped a card I'd never seen before, and the door unlocked. Inside, a security guard looked up from his desk. "Evening," my mother said pleasantly, showing him the key. "Just need to access my box." He nodded, barely glancing at us, and went back to his phone. We walked past him to the vault area. Another card swipe, and we were in. The safety deposit box area was silent, except for the hum of ventilation. My mother found box 487, inserted the key, and pulled out a long metal container. We took it to one of the private viewing rooms and closed the door. Inside, The box was everything my father had promised. Stacks of cash. I didn't count, but it had to be at least $50,000. 4 passports with different names. But our pictures, apparently he'd prepared for the possibility that all of us would need to run. Documentation, birth certificates, driver's licenses, credit cards, all under false identities, and a thick folder of papers. My mother opened it, and I watched her face go pale. "Oh no," she whispered. "Oh, Frank, what did you do?" "What is it?" She spread the papers across the table. They were surveillance photos, financial records, shipping manifests, and at the center of it all was a name I recognized: Senator David Hartley. "I don't understand," I said. "Your father kept investigating after they killed him," she said slowly, her finger tracing the connection lines he'd drawn between documents. "Or rather, he set up systems before he died to keep gathering information. He wanted to know who was really behind the pressure to bring me back, who had ordered his death. And he found it. Senator Hartley, the guy running for president? Not exactly. Look." She pointed to a series of financial transfers. "Hartley's campaign has been receiving money from several shell corporations. Those corporations trace back to a consortium of Eastern European businesses. And those businesses are controlled by people I knew in my old life. People in intelligence, people in organized crime, people who would very much like to have someone in the White House who owes them favors." My mind was reeling. "So this whole thing, coming after you, killing Dad, it wasn't about some old defector?" "Oh, that defector is real, and they do want him silenced. But it's not the main reason. They came after us because your father was getting too close to exposing their connection to Hartley. He was a high school math teacher, but he'd kept his intelligence contacts, his ability to analyze patterns. He must have stumbled onto something, started investigating, and they realized he was a threat. Then why not just kill you too? Why try to recruit you?" "Because I have something they need. Legitimacy, proof." She shuffled through the papers and pulled out a photograph. It showed a much younger version of my mother standing next to a man I didn't recognize. "This is Dmitry Koslov. He's the defector they want me to find. He has documents, recordings, evidence of things that happened in the late 80s and early 90s, things that would destroy careers, topple governments, and he's been making noise about releasing it all." "What does that have to do with Hartley?" "Hartley's campaign manager, Richard Vance, used to work for the same intelligence service I did. Different time, different cover, but same organization. If Dmitry goes public with everything he knows, Vance's real background comes out. And if Vance's background comes out, his connection to the people funding Hartley's campaign comes out. The whole house of cards collapses. So they want you to stop Dmitry. They want me to kill Dmitry and make it look natural. I'm one of the few people who knows where he is, who can get close to him. He'd trust me." She looked at the photo, her expression pained. "We were friends once. I helped save his life." I sat back, trying to process it all. A presidential campaign funded by foreign intelligence operatives. My mother, a former spy caught in the middle. My father, murdered for getting too close to the truth. And now people trying to force my mother to commit murder to keep their secrets safe. "What if we go public?" I asked. "Take all this to the press? With what proof? These documents show financial connections, but they're not smoking guns. A good lawyer could explain them away as legitimate international business dealings. We'd need Dmitry's evidence to make it stick. And I don't even know if he's still alive or where he is. But Dad knew. He must have. Why else keep all this?" She started going through the papers more carefully, and I helped, looking for anything that might be a clue. It was in a sealed envelope at the bottom of the folder, a single sheet of paper with an address: 2847 Riverside Drive, Apartment 12C, Portland, Oregon. "Portland," my mother said softly. "He's in Portland." There was something else in the envelope. A USB drive. "Do you have your laptop?" my mother asked. I'd grabbed my bag when we fled my apartment. Inside was my laptop. I pulled it out and plugged in the drive. It contained a single video file. I clicked it, and my father's face appeared on screen. He looked terrible, gaunt, pale, exhausted. This had been recorded right before he died. "Patricia, Emma, Jeff," he said, his voice weak. "If you're watching this, then I'm gone, and the worst has happened. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I couldn't protect you better." My mother's hand found mine, squeezing tight. "I've documented everything I could find about the operation to compromise Senator Hartley's campaign. It's sophisticated, well-funded, and goes back years. Hartley himself may not even know who's really backing him, but the people pulling the strings are dangerous, and they're close to getting exactly what they want. A U.S. president they can control." He coughed, pausing to catch his breath. "The only person who can stop this is Dmitry Kozlov. He has evidence that connects everything, the money, the people, the operations, evidence that would destroy them all. But he won't release it, because he's afraid. He's been in hiding for 35 years, and he's tired. He just wants to be left alone." Another pause. He looked directly at the camera, and it felt like he was looking right at me. "Petra, you have to convince him to go public. I know you don't want to get involved in this world again. I know you just want to live a quiet life, tend your garden, read your books. But too much is at stake. If these people get control of the White House, the damage they could do, it's unthinkable." He smiled slightly, sadly. "And kids, if your mother decides to do this, help her. I know this isn't the life we wanted for you. I know finding out the truth about us is going to be hard, but you're strong. You come from strong people. And sometimes strong people have to do hard things because no one else can." The video ended. We sat in silence for a long moment. Then my mother closed the laptop and started packing everything. Back into a bag, the money, the documents, the passports. "What are we doing?" I asked. "We're going to Portland," she said firmly. "We're going to find Dmitry. We're going to convince him to go public. And we're going to finish what your father started. Mom, these people tried to kill us tonight. They murdered Dad. If we do this, we might actually stop them. If we don't, your father died for nothing, and they win." She looked at me, and I saw the steel in her eyes that must have made her such an effective operative all those years ago. I've spent 30 years being Patricia Morrison, librarian and gardener. Maybe it's time Petra Antonova came back for one last operation. "Then I'm coming with you." "Absolutely not. This is too dangerous. Dad said to help you." "I'm helping. Besides, you need me." "Emma!" "You need me," I repeated firmly. "You've been a librarian for 30 years. You said it yourself. You're retired out of practice. But I'm young, I'm tech-savvy, and I'm not going to let you do this alone. Plus, if they're watching for a 63-year-old woman traveling alone, they might not notice a mother and daughter on a road trip." She studied me for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "You're right, and you're more like your father every minute." She pulled out her phone. "I'm texting Jeff, telling him to stay at the cabin with Rachel. Keep his head down. No need for all of us to be in danger. Will he listen? He has a wife and a baby on the way. He'll listen." She finished the text and stood up. "We should move. They'll be looking for us." We packed up everything, stuffing the bag under my jacket as we walked back through the bank. The security guard nodded at us again, still absorbed in his phone. Outside, the parking lot looked clear. No black SUV, no watchers that we could see. "We can't take your car," my mother said. "They'll have the plates by now. We need something else." "You want to steal a car?" "I want to rent one. With one of these." She held up one of the fake IDs from the safety deposit box. "There's a rental place 2 blocks from here. Open until midnight." 20 minutes later, we were driving out of the city in a nondescript gray Toyota Camry rented under the name Susan Fletcher. My mother, Susan, had paid cash for a week's rental, explaining that she was visiting family and her car had broken down. The clerk had barely looked at us. "Portland is about 28 hours of driving," my mother said, studying the map on my phone. "We should drive through the night, take turns sleeping. The faster we move, the less chance they have to track us. What if Dmitry won't help? What if he's changed his mind about going public? Then we convince him. I saved his life once. He owes me. And more importantly, he's a good man. When he understands what's at stake, he'll do the right thing. You sound sure. I am sure. I knew Dmitri for 3 years before he defected. He was an idealist who got caught up in a corrupt system. He hated what he was being asked to do. That's why he turned. People don't change. Not at their core. He'll help. We drove through the night, taking turns at the wheel. When I drove, my mother slept fitfully, often jerking awake at sounds I couldn't even hear. When she drove, I tried to sleep, but mostly just watched the landscape roll by. Cities, giving way to suburbs, giving way to farmland, giving way to nothing. We stopped once at a truck stop around 3 in the morning for gas and terrible coffee. My mother bought burner phones with cash and texted Jeff with the new number. "He's okay," she said, reading his reply. "Worried, but okay. I told him we'd explain everything when this is over." "When this is over? You really think we're going to make it through this?" She looked at me over the rim of her coffee cup. "Your father and I survived the Cold War, multiple intelligence services, and 30 years of looking over our shoulders. We're survivors, Emma. It's what we do." By the time we crossed into Oregon the next evening, I was exhausted, running on caffeine and adrenaline. My mother had told me stories through the long drive, not about spy operations, but about her childhood in Bulgaria, about learning English from bootleg American movies, about the first time she'd tasted real Coca-Cola. "I thought I'd hate America when I got here," she admitted. "I'd been trained to think of it as the enemy, this corrupt capitalist nightmare. But then we got here, and people were just people. Nice people. Your father and I bought that house, and the neighbors brought over casseroles. Casseroles! Like we were family. It was the strangest, most wonderful thing. Do you ever miss Bulgaria? Your real life? That wasn't my real life. This is my real life. You, Jeff, your father. That was all real. The rest was just a role I played." She glanced at me. "Do you understand that? Do you understand that even though our names were false, our family was true?" "I'm trying to," I said honestly. "It's a lot to process." "I know, sweetheart, I know." We reached Portland as the sun was setting, painting the city in shades of gold and pink. The address Dad had left us was in a modest apartment, building in a quiet neighborhood. We parked down the street and watched the building for 20 minutes, looking for anything suspicious. "Seems clear," my mother finally said, "but we'll go in the back way, just in case." The building had a service entrance that was supposed to be locked, but wasn't. We climbed the back stairs to the 12th floor, my mother moving slowly, carefully, checking each landing before we continued. Apartment 12C had a sturdy door with multiple locks. My mother knocked 3 times. Pause, twice more. The pattern she'd used at my apartment. Silence. She knocked again, same pattern. "Petra?" A voice from inside, heavily accented, uncertain. "It's me, Dmitri. I need to talk to you. It's urgent." More silence, then the sound of locks being undone, chains being slid back. The door opened a crack, and a face peered. Out. An elderly man with white hair and sharp blue eyes that studied us carefully. "You've gotten old," he said to my mother. "So have you," she replied with a slight smile. He opened the door fully and stepped back. We entered a apartment that looked like it hadn't been updated since the 1980s. Floral, wallpaper, shag carpet, furniture that might have been trendy when I was born. But it was clean, organized, lived in. "This is my daughter, Emma," my mother said. Dmitri nodded to me, then locked the door behind us with all 5 locks. "You shouldn't have come here. It's not safe. Nowhere is safe right now. Dmitri, they killed Frank." His face fell. "No, when?" 8 years ago. Made it look like a heart attack. They wanted me to help them, wanted me to find you and—" She couldn't finish the sentence. "And eliminate me," he finished for her. "Yes, I know. They've tried 3 times now. I'm getting tired of running." "Then don't run. Come forward. Release everything you know. Burn them all down." He shook his head, shuffling over to an old recliner and sinking into it. "I'm 74 years old, Petra. I'm tired. I just want to live out my remaining years in peace. There won't be peace. Not for any of us. They're going to keep coming until they get what they want. She sat down across from him. Do you know about Senator Hartley? The presidential candidate? What about him? She told him everything. The shell corporations, the campaign funding, Richard Vance's real background. His face grew grimmer with each detail. If he wins, she concluded, they'll have someone in the White House who owes them everything. Do you understand what that means? The damage they could do? I understand. But what can I do? I'm one old man with old information. Your information isn't old. It's the foundation. It proves patterns of behavior, methods of operation, connections between people. Combined with what Frank documented about the Hartley campaign, it's enough to bring them down. But we need you to come forward. We need you to testify. They'll kill me. They're trying to kill you anyway. At least this way, it means something. He was quiet for a long time, staring at his hands. They were shaking slightly. Age, or fear, or both. You saved my life once, he finally said. Got me out when no one else could. I owed you everything. I still do. He looked up at her. Is this really the only way? It's the only way I can see. Frank spent his last days trying to stop them. The least we can do is finish what he started. Dmitri stood up slowly, joints creaking. He went to a bookshelf and pulled out what looked like a Bible. But when he opened it, the pages had been cut away, leaving a hollow space inside. He pulled out a USB drive. Everything is on here, he said. Names, operations, financial records, recordings. 35 years of evidence. I kept adding to it, updating it, because I always knew this day might come. He held it out to my mother. Take it. Do what needs to be done. She took the drive, but she didn't put it away. We do it together, all of us. We go to the press, we go to the FBI, we tell them everything. Your testimony, my testimony, Frank's documentation, your evidence. Together it's enough. Separately, they can dismiss it, discredit it. Together, they can't ignore it. The FBI? I interrupted. Can we trust them? Not the whole FBI, no. But there are still good people there. People who aren't compromised. Your father had contacts, people he trusted. She pulled out one of the documents from our bag. Special Agent Sarah Chen. She's with the Counterintelligence Division. Frank worked with her on a consulting basis a few years ago. He trusted her. And if she's been bought? Then we go to the press first, and the FBI second. But we have to try. This is too big not to have law enforcement involved. I looked at Dmitri, this elderly man who'd been hiding for more than half my lifetime, and saw the fear in his eyes. But I also saw resignation and determination, and maybe even a little relief. Okay, he said quietly. We do it together. My mother pulled out one of the burner phones and dialed. A number from Frank's documentation. It rang 4 times before someone answered. Special Agent Chen. Agent Chen, my name is Petra Antonova. You knew me as Patricia Morrison. You worked with my husband, Frank Morrison, about 5 years ago on... I remember Frank. I was very sorry to hear about his death. A pause. Why are you using that name? Patricia Morrison is not my real name, I know. Frank left documentation explaining everything. Agent Chen, I need to meet with you. I have information about a matter of national security. Information about foreign interference in a presidential campaign. Silence on the other end. Then, that's a serious allegation. I have evidence. I have a witness. And I have a very compelling reason to believe that lives are in danger, including mine and my daughter's. Where are you? Portland, Oregon. But we can come to you. Where are you based? Seattle Field Office. Can you be here tomorrow morning? Yes. Come to the Federal Building. Ask for me specifically. Don't talk to anyone else. And Mrs. Morrison, or Ms. Antonova, be careful. If what you're saying is true, you're putting yourself in danger by coming forward. I'm already in danger. That's why I'm calling. They agreed on a time, 10 a.m. the next morning. When my mother hung up, she looked at Dmitri and me. Seattle is about 3 hours from here. We drive tonight, find a hotel near the Federal Building, try to get some sleep. In the morning, we meet with Agent Chen and we tell her everything. Once the FBI is involved, we'll be safer. They can provide protection while we figure out the next steps. What if they find us before morning? I asked. Then we fight, my mother said simply. We've come too far to give up now. We left Dimitri's apartment the same way we'd entered, through the back stairs. The sun had set completely, and the parking lot was dark. My mother had her hand in her jacket pocket, and I realized with a shock that she must have a weapon. When had she gotten a weapon? We'd made it halfway to our rental car when the SUV appeared, blocking our path. The same black SUV from the night before, or one exactly like it. Run, my mother said quietly. Back to the building, now. But before we could move, figures emerged from the shadows around us. 4 of them, spread out, cutting off escape routes. Professional, coordinated. And in front of them, walking calmly from the passenger side of the SUV, was a woman I'd only seen in a mirror's reflection at a restaurant. Marina Volkov. She was smaller than I'd expected, almost delicate-looking, with short blonde hair and the kind of face that would disappear in a crowd. Exactly the kind of person you'd want as an assassin. Petra Antonova, she said, her accent thick. It has been long time. Not long enough, Marina. I wish this meeting to be different. I always respected you. But business is business, yes? She gestured to the men around us. You have something that belongs to my employers. USB drive from Dmitry Kozlov. You give it to me. I let you and daughter go. You disappear again. We forget this happened. Simple. Nothing with you is ever simple, Marina. This is true. She smiled slightly. But this time really is simple. I have no wish to hurt you. Give me drive. Walk away. Live rest of your life in peace. My mother's hand stayed in her pocket. And Dmitry? Dmitry is already dead. My people went to his apartment after you left. Was quick, painless. He is at peace now. I felt the blood drain from my face. We'd left him there. We'd left him alone. And now he was dead. You're lying, my mother said, but I could hear the uncertainty in her voice. Am I? Marina pulled out her phone and showed us a photo. Dmitry, slumped in his recliner, eyes closed, looking almost peaceful. Like I said, quick, painless. Now, the drive. Our next photo is of your daughter. One of the men had moved closer to me. I could see the gun in his hand now, held low and casual, but pointed in my direction. My mother's face was expressionless, but I knew her well enough to see the calculations happening behind her eyes. She was outnumbered, outgunned, and they had me as leverage. She was trapped. Okay, she said slowly. You can have the drive. Mom, no. I started to protest, but she shot me a look that silenced me. She slowly pulled her hand from her pocket. Empty. The other hand reached into her jacket and pulled out the USB drive Dmitry had given us. She held it up so Marina could see it. Throw it here, Marina instructed. Let my daughter go first. Once she's in the car and driving away, I'll throw you the drive. Marina considered this, then nodded. Fair. Girl, go to car. Drive away. Do not stop. Do not look back. I'm not leaving her, I said. Emma, go. How much time? I asked. Those people are still outside, waiting for us. You'll stay here. We'll put you in protective custody while we sort this out. You'll be safe. She left to make her calls, leaving us alone in the conference room. My mother slumped in her chair, looking suddenly exhausted. Do you think they'll believe us? I asked. Do you think it's enough? I don't know. I hope so. For your father's sake. For Dmitry's sake. She reached over and took my hand. I'm sorry, Emma. I'm sorry you got dragged into this. I'm not. I'm terrified, and I might need therapy for the rest of my life, but I'm not sorry. Dad was right. Sometimes strong people have to do hard things because no one else can. She smiled, tears in her eyes. When did you get so wise? I learned from the best. Both of you. Agent Chen came back an hour later with news. I've briefed the assistant director. He's taking this seriously. He's bringing in a team from D.C., should be here by morning. In the meantime, you're both under FBI protection. We've arranged for a safe house. You'll be escorted there, kept under guard until we can figure out next steps. What about my brother? I asked. He's at a cabin upstate. Those people might go after him. Give me the address. I'll have local FBI make contact. bring him and his wife into protection as well. We gave her Jeff's information and she made more calls. Within an hour, Jeff texted the burner phone number that FBI agents had shown up and were taking him and Rachel to a safe location. He was confused and scared, but safe. The safe house was a nondescript apartment in a residential neighborhood, with 2 agents stationed outside and 2 more inside. We were given rooms, food, clean clothes. For the first time in 2 days, I felt like I could breathe. I took a shower that lasted 40 minutes, washing away the fear and the grime and the lingering smell of gunpowder. When I came out, my mother was sitting on the couch, staring at nothing. "Can't sleep?" I asked, sitting beside her. "Too much to think about. Too many years of training telling me to stay alert. Agent Chen seems good, competent, like she actually wants to help." "She does. But this is complicated, Emma. Even with all the evidence, these are powerful people we're going up against. People with connections, with resources. It's not going to be simple to bring them down. But it's possible? It's possible." She turned to look at me. "Whatever happens, I want you to know how proud I am